All right, everyone. Today we get to find out if we get September to remember or if we're going to get September slump. Today is a big enough catalyst that we could definitely find that out with non-farm payrolls and unemployment at 8:30. We're going to take a look at the charts and see how the market is preparing for the news and what I said about yesterday with the whole not so bad thing, including BigBear.ai stock structural change, at least in terms of its technicals. Apple stock still itchy to jump higher. Palantir ready to just freaking break out already. And then SoFi stock, well, that's also very interesting, especially when you look at its daily chart. We'll take a look at what that's been doing as well. Once again, very exciting time. Can't wait to get into it. By the way, tomorrow, just over 24 hours away from the options workshop. It is a beginner options workshop. You can check it out. You can flip on through everything. There are a limited number of seats available. There is a 60-day forum community that goes along with it, and also a live Q&A during that workshop where you can go and get your questions answered. So guys, let's jump into this for the Qs. The Qs, you can see the orange line up here for the pre-market, absolutely jumping up over the previous high that I had. So this is actually a slightly higher low that we have here, by the way. So this would move us out of that consolidation, that sort of sideways movement that we've had for the Qs recently, going all the way back to this day when we had that big old sell-off at July 31st, waiting all the way through that month of August for some real answer to come out of this as we get into September here. If we drop down to something like the 5-minute chart, there we go. You can see from my day trading technicals from yesterday that we're still bouncing around those lines that are drawn in there. And I'm going to update those technicals with the new information, and I'll release them over at the Discord. Code word doctor. If you're somebody who's interested in day trading, especially zero DTEs, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, often stock mode leads to live trading. With those zero DTEs and technicals like this can certainly help you out along that process. So we can see that flat push along 578.39. Looks like we're having trouble closing up above it. It's just slightly to the north at the high 578, so 578.73 and 85. It could be a place that could give us some trouble as well. We definitely want to watch that 8:30 hour. It's really going to answer the question that we have burning right now of, are we going to get that? And I can tell you, look at this jump that we have. This right here, in my opinion, is the market saying, hey, so far the reports have been not so bad. This one could also possibly not so bad. And the big thing with that is the market's looking to see maybe the Fed actually stuck the soft landing. Maybe they are going dovish at the right time to sort of ease us back down on that federal funds rate. And so that's what I believe the market's trading on right now. So moving over to the SPY, the orange line on this one, this is the daily chart that we're looking at. There's the pre-market hour sitting up at 650. The highest number that we tagged before that during the regular trading hours was 649.48. And if we drop down to an hourly chart, for example, you can see that previous peak that we had, that we're well up above that at this point in time, which can be good, especially if we open at that price. All this can change as of 8:30 though. So right now it is a very hopeful thing. We'll keep our fingers crossed. That's all we got left up until we see that game at 8:30. What exactly is going to come our way? Remember, down below 7 million is where that trouble comes in for. Remember, down into the negative numbers or very close to zero could be where that trouble comes in for non-farm payrolls. If we're also looking at the revisions as well, and I believe the market is, are we going to get things revised down into negative territory? That could screw up the whole soft landing narrative, and that instead could be like the Fed waited too long. This is bad. We got to change things right now. They got to cut things before things get worse, before they break even more. That's the thing that we got to watch out for. Also, unemployment rate at 4.2, we're good. 4.2 or below, we're very, very good. At 4.3, we might get a little bit of jitters, but again, with the rest of the not so bad narrative, I think 4.3 could also fall into the not so bad territory, and then 4.4 or higher on the unemployment rate coming out this morning at 8:30, which is still a little around an hour and a half off from where we're at right now. That could be very worrisome for us. That could be that trouble, especially if it's paired with a bad non-farm payrolls. So let me pop this back up here, and we'll jump over to IWM, which once again is up in the pre-market hours, overtaking this recent peak that it had on the August the 28th and 29th. If we drop down to the 15-minute chart and see what it's given us there, we haven't quite overtaken what we had going back here. Let's stretch that out for you so you guys can see where that's at, that peak that we had back here on August the 28th. And that certainly hasn't overtaken the peaks that we've had going back here into November and December of 2024. November 2024 being that all-time high for IWM. And if you look at this, there's an inverse head and shoulders down here, but it's also starting to look like we have a shoulder on this side, a shoulder on that side, and this is an even bigger head. So a head and shoulders within inverse head and shoulders within an inverse head and shoulders, which could mean a wildly higher price target on this than just a 248. Let's tackle the 248 and see what we get out of it. If this soft landing narrative plays out, 248 is in the bag. We got about $11 to go to get there. I've been talking about since we were down here, down around $200, and we're really putting in that push and that outperformance against the S&P 500. Bitcoin settling around 112 at the moment, really dancing around it, trying to find out should it break higher or should we fall lower. Going to answer that risk territory question. Risk on, risk off. Where do we find ourselves? Big Bear AI. Here we go. Let me reset that view and we'll zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the structure. Right there's a good view of it. So you can see that we were narrowing down and following down this descending wedge pattern. Even though we didn't get any sort of explosive movement in it, that's fine. The thing to really watch, the reason that I kept it here is that we broke that structure that we're starting to move sideways instead. So starting to show signs of consolidation. Had a nice little pop during the pre-market up to 507 after touching support yesterday down at about 475. And so this support, it's really good support for us. There's even stronger support down below that in the low 4 territory. And there it is. So 425 up to about 445 if we get there. If instead we consolidate along here, that can be a very good thing for us. And we want to watch for very significant changes in the volume. So or I should say subtle changes in the volume, which can show us signs of accumulation if we start to trade sideways right along this line that we have right here, which is just north of the 200 EMA. The 200 SMA, by the way, is just south of that as well. We have a lot of bearish crossovers where those faster moving averages are crossing down over the slower ones, but you can see those long tails that come here in this massive green candle showing signs of buying pressure coming in around this. So we could see some accumulation with some evidence of buyers coming in around this level. Maybe not yet, but maybe soon. We'll have to watch and see. We definitely have a bunch of EMAs to pop back over and a fair amount of resistance to overcome as well. This is going to be very momentum driven, very news driven. And the big thing coming up for Big Bear AI to hear is capitalization from the Big Beautiful Bill Act, that those contracts are coming in, and hopefully broadening. I'm going to keep on saying that it's both of those things. Concentration, if we don't lose the concentration risk, it should be good still if they have a lot of cash coming in their way. Several millions, billions would be even, that'd be explosive for this thing. But tens of millions coming their way over a span of years, hundreds of millions, even better after that. But the big thing beyond the cash itself is the broadening away from that too few clients and really dependent on those clients to keep on paying them over that time. So that's what we're looking for Big Bear AI. Apple stock trying to push higher. It is pushing this top line. We got to break 240. That's exactly what it doesn't want to break. These peaks in here. This is 239.92 within 8 cents. And then this also 239.89 within 11 cents. 239.90 within 10 cents. Does not want to break 240, but today could be that day if we get numbers that once again are not so bad. 243.66 for Apple stock. I think should be coming our way as long as things aren't spoiled today by non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Palantir still in this consolidating pattern. This is what I'm talking about for early signs for Big Bear AI, where Big Bear touched support and then started going sideways. Palantir is much more along in that consolidation right now, and the volumes have still been pretty much subdued. Watch for that volume change, especially if it picks a direction when it does it, because that can tell us if we're going to blast out of the top of this thing or come back down and retest this support that's down here. This is one of the narrowest trading ranges we've had at least since December of 24. So 9 months have gone by where we've had a lot more movement for Palantir. This is setting up for something huge. This is one of my favorites to watch right now is Palantir, and why I'm reporting on it. SoFi had an engulfing candle on its daily chart yesterday. The volume conviction wasn't necessarily there. That part of the recipe was missing for us. And if we drop down to the 4-hour chart to see a little bit more of what's going on and pop up the technicals here for you, there's a big fat area of resistance up here. 2568 was the number that we struggled to keep. And now we're approaching it on subdued volume. That could still be a stopping point for us. But if the rest of the market goes bonkers, SoFi can also go bonkers. And then maybe we finally get to retest that $28 price tag that's up to the north up here, blasting through 2568, up through this 2661 pivot that we have up here. And then, like I said, marching on to that $28 price tag. Very excited, very exciting times. And, well, guys, if you want to see how we play this thing, you guys can join us over at the Discord. Links down in the description. Code word doctor when you sign up will give you a 50% off your first month sign up. Use the earner tiers to get unrestricted access, and you can see the expert panel channels that are there. I am one of the expert panelists. There's a whole team of us there to support you in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio. And then that workshop for options. There's also workshops for technicals. There's also workshops for crypto as well. When you sign up for those, use code word money. There are a limited number of seats available. They're happening this weekend. It is my last workshop on options before we step out to the next level options workshop. That date is to be announced. It'll probably be a week or two away from where we're at right now. Pretty darn excited about it. Don't forget about the live Q&A and the 60-day forum community access that you also get, along with all the other materials, conversation, and opportunities that come your way as part of it. It is an absolutely astounding deal. Couldn't be more excited. Tomorrow is the day that it happens, 9/6, so September the 6th at 2 p.m. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you next video.